What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadan, and in today's video, I want to talk about an awesome lease deal on a 2024 Toyota Tacoma SR5 four-wheel drive. So if you're in the market for a Toyota Tacoma, I think you'll get a lot of value from this video, especially if you're considering leasing a Toyota Tacoma versus financing a Toyota Tacoma. So what we'll do in the first part of this video is we'll head over to the Toyota website and we'll go over the national lease offer in detail. We'll talk about the mileage allowance, we'll talk about the due at signing amount and what that includes. We'll go over all of the nitty-gritty details. And then in the second part of this video, what we'll do is we'll run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Toyota Tacoma, and I'll show you why it's a good lease deal in terms of value and why leasing it is something that you should definitely consider. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll act like we're shopping for a Toyota Tacoma. I'll grab one off of Auto Trader that's here locally in the Seattle area, and we'll plug it into the Drive Match calculator, and I'll show you how you can actually negotiate a lease deal on your own leveraging the Drive Match calculator. And I'll also use the Drive Match calculator to show you why leasing this Toyota Tacoma makes more sense than financing it, because the Drive Match calculator actually has a lease versus finance option, or at lease versus finance tool that you can use. It's really easy to use. I'll show you how to use it. So if that sounds good to you, please be sure to like and please be sure to follow. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me and talk about this Toyota Tacoma lease deal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the Toyota website. And as you can see, I have my zip code plugged in, 98422, which ironically is a Tacoma, Washington zip code. And we're looking at a Toyota Tacoma. So as you can see here, you can lease this Tacoma. It's a 2024 Tacoma SR5 for $299 a month. It's a 36-month lease that requires $3,999 due at signing. Now, what you're going to see is that this is a four-wheel drive double cab SR5 L4 with an 8-speed automatic transmission. You're also going to see that this lease allows for 12,000 miles a year, and the lease excludes tax, title, license, registration, and other fees. So a lot of people see this due at signing amount and they think that that's all that's required when you shop for this truck, but this doesn't include taxes on rebates if there are any rebates or dealer cash or anything of that nature. And then it doesn't include the registration costs, right? Because you have to pay for license plates. And here in the state of Washington and in Seattle or Tacoma, where I live, you're looking at about $800 to $1,000 on this Toyota Tacoma. And you're also going to see that it doesn't include miscellaneous fees like dealer fees and other miscellaneous fees. Maybe they added a tint, maybe the dealer added some options, but that really depends on the car that you're looking at. But let's go ahead and look at the fine print on this Tacoma lease deal and see if we can get some more information. Now, what we're going to see here is that the MSRP on this Toyota Tacoma is $42,144, and the net capitalized cost is $36,957. So when you factor in your down payment and some discounts, the net capitalized cost is $36,957, and then you have a lease end purchase amount or residual value of $32,029. So what that means is at the end of the lease term, you can buy this Toyota Tacoma for $32,029. Now, does it always make sense to buy a car at the end of the lease term? For me personally, if a car doesn't have positive equity at the end of the lease term, it doesn't make sense to buy it. But, you know, these Toyota Tacomas generally do have lease equity at the end of the term. So it's nice that you can actually, you have the option to buy it. But, it doesn't always make sense to do so. We can go over that in a different video, and I have videos about that. Now, what we're going to see here is that the $3,999 that you see up here, it includes, where did it go? It includes the $3,050 customer down payment. So that's a cash down payment to lower the monthly payment of the vehicle. It also includes the first month's payment of $299, and it includes an acquisition fee of $650. And then what you're going to see is that if you drive this car more than 36,000 miles over the 3-year term, you're going to have to pay 15 cents per mile. Now, if you know you're going to drive more than 12,000 miles a year, I would just get a 15,000 mile a year lease because it would be cheaper. But just know that the excess mileage penalty on this truck is 15 cents a mile for all mileage over 12,000 miles a year. And then you're going to have to pay a disposition fee of $350 at lease end if you were to return this truck back to the dealer. And this is pretty common. All manufacturers have a disposition fee. And lastly, you're going to see that this lease deal expires on February 3rd, 2025. Now let's go ahead and run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Toyota Tacoma. Now, my 1.25% rule of leasing is just a value metric. If you get a number under 1.5% after you run this rule, that's a good lease deal. If you get a number under 1.25%, that's a great lease deal in terms of value. And if you get a number under 1%, that's an amazing lease deal in terms of value. And anytime you get something under 1.5%, it generally makes more sense to lease that vehicle over financing that vehicle, because your 3-year or whatever the lease term is, your cost of ownership is generally going to be lower anytime you have a lease deal that's under 1.5%. So let's go ahead and run the 1.25% rule of leasing for this Tacoma. We're going to take the $3,999 that's due at signing. Now, I'm just going to add $1,500 to this to account for things like registration and dealer miscellaneous dealer fees, right? $1,500 is a very conservative number. Now, when I do that, I get $5,499. Now, what I'm going to do is subtract the first month's payment from this amount since it's included in the due at signing amount. And when I do that, I get $5,200. I'll divide this by 36 since this is a 36-month lease. And what that does is it breaks that due at signing amount into 36 equal parts, because what we're trying to do here is get an effective monthly payment. Now what I'm going to do is add $299 because that's a monthly payment back in. And this gives me a zero down monthly payment of $443. But this doesn't account for sales tax. So in leases, you have to pay taxes on rebates. Then you have to pay a sales tax on the payment in the majority of states in the nation. Now, where I live, the tax rate is 10%. So I'll multiply this by 1.1 to account for 10% sales tax rate. And that gives me an effective monthly payment of $487 a month. So if I were to roll in this due at signing amount, roll in registration, roll in all dealer fees, miscellaneous fees into the monthly payment, you have an effective monthly payment, or a zero down monthly payment of $487 a month. Now, if I divide this number by this vehicle's MSRP, which is $42,144, as you can see down here, I'll divide this by 42,144. Oh, I don't know why the one didn't come in. 144. And I'll multiply this by 100 to make it a percentage. You get 1.15 or about 1.16%. So as I stated earlier, anytime you're under 1.5%, good lease deal. Under 1.25%, great lease deal. Under 1%, amazing lease deal. And those 1%, sub 1% lease deals are mainly reserved for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids. So this Toyota Tacoma sitting at 1.15% is an amazing lease deal. Excuse me, it's a great lease deal. Now, this part of the video is going to be the most value added part of the video, because what I'm going to do is use the Drive Match calculator to actually price out a Toyota Tacoma of my own. So what I'm going to do is act like I'm the consumer and act like I'm looking for a Toyota Tacoma SR5, the same trim, and I'm going to plug all the information into the Drive Match calculator and see what kind of deal I can actually get on this truck if I were to be shopping for it on my own. And here we are on drivematch.com. I'm just going to click up here on calculator. And here is a very, very powerful calculator that could potentially save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on your lease, because it's going to give you control. It's going to give you all of the lease programs. You're going to know the interest rate, whether you're leasing or financing. It's going to pull all rebates for any car that you're looking for. So first things first, you have to search for the vehicle. You can either search by VIN number, or you can just enter the vehicle information. So I know this is a 2024. It's a Toyota Tacoma. So let's go down to Toyota, and I'm just going to do this in real time so that you guys know how to use the tool as well. It is a Tacoma 4-wheel drive, and then the trim is an SR5 with a 5-inch bed. SR5 with a 5-inch bed, and I'm going to select here where it says NATL. This is a national lease offer. That's what you generally always want to select whenever you see that option. Now, the MSRP on the national lease ad is $42,144, and I'm just looking at this number right down here. So I'm just going to plug in 42,144. Now, the discount on the car, we don't know. We're going to leave the discount alone. So the selling price is also $42,144. For dealer zip, I'm just going to put in 98422 because that's our Tacoma zip code. And I'm going to get programs. Now it's pulling all of the programs that Toyota currently has for this zip code. Now what you want to do here is click on special lease because you're going to get the better interest rates. As you can see here, you can even select on this purple icon here and it'll show you that the money factor for a 36-month term on this Tacoma, if you use the standard rate, is 7.32% or a money factor of 0.00305. Meanwhile, if I go to special lease, the money factor on a 36-month lease is 5.64%. So 5.64 is lower than 7.32. So you want to go with special lease anytime you see that option. And then we're going to get residual values. We're going to get the Toyota Financial Services lease residual values. We're going to select 36 months and 12,000 miles a year. And as you can see, the residual value on this Tacoma is substantially high at 76% because it is a Toyota and it is a Tacoma. It's one of the cars with one of the highest resale values in the industry, and it's been that way for over a decade. Now, what you're going to see is you also have the option to do a money factor markup. So if the dealer is marking up the money factor, you can plug that in. You can do one pay money factor adjustment, and you can also do multiple security deposits here. Now, what you're also going to see is that all of the incentives pulled up for my zip code. Now, I'm not eligible for any of these incentives or these rebates, but you have the college rebate, you have the military rebate, you have the Olympic, Paralympic partner incentive offer, and then you have the regional Toyota lease loyalty program. So this is if you own an existing Toyota, you can get an additional $1,000 off on this Tacoma. Now, what I'm going to do here in the fees section, now, if there are some incentives, that weren't listed here, you can add them here. If they were taxed, add them in this box. If they're untaxed, add them in this box. And then for the acquisition fee, I'm going to plug in $650. Now, I need you guys to stay with me. I know this is it's a very powerful tool and it's very intricate, but once you get the hang of it, it's a very, very powerful tool that can save you a lot of money. I'm not going to add a dealer fee for now. I'm not going to add tax title registration for now. No maintenance plans, no additional add-ons. And for tax rate, I'm just going to put 0%, not 10.25, because I'm trying to mirror the national lease ad as closely as possible. Now, what you can see is the pre-tax monthly payment is $483. And what I need to do is get to $3,999 down and the monthly payment at $299 a month. Now, what I'm going to do here with the due at signing amount is do a custom. As you can see, you can do sign and drive, just first month's payment, custom, or one pay. I'm going to do custom, and I'm going to do $3,999. And you can see that the pre-tax monthly payment and monthly payment has gone down to $369, but we need it in the $299 range. Now, what we're going to do is, as you can see here, you have a net capitalized cost of $36,957, and you have a customer down payment of $3,050. So what we're going to do here is do a bit of math. I know that the MSRP on this truck is $42,144. I'm going to subtract the customer down payment of $3,050, and then what I'm going to do is subtract $36,957 from this amount. So subtract 36,957, because I think there's a bit of a dealer discount built into this lease deal. So what we're going to do is take this $2,137 and plug it into the calculator. So what we're going to do is scroll all the way back up and plug in a discount. Instead of percentage, we're going to do a dollar amount and do 2,137, was it? Yep, 2,137. And as you can see here, we have a selling price of $40,007, and you have a monthly payment of $303. It's slightly higher than that $299, but it's close enough. And you have a monthly payment at $303. So this is emulating the national lease offer. And now this is very powerful because I know that the national lease offer, is factoring in a 5.07% discount. Now let me just write this down, 5.07%. So let's say I'm shopping for this car, and I like this one that's on autotrader.com. It's at Toyota of Tacoma, and we're shopping for a Toyota Tacoma because I used a Tacoma zip code. And all you need is the VIN number. So the VIN number on this truck is here. I'll just plug this back into the calculator. We can actually search by VIN, and we'll submit the VIN number. Look at that, it already pulled up. 2024 Toyota Tacoma 4-wheel drive, double cab. All we need to do is manually input the MSRP. Now make sure you're not using the selling price, which is right here, 42,197. You need the MSRP, which is up here in the fine print, 44,123. So let's go to 44,123. And now let's assume a same 5.07% discount that we had from the national lease offer. Let's pull some of these rebates again. Let's pull the programs. We're going to use the special lease rate, Toyota lease residuals. We're going to do 36 months, 12,000 miles a year. We're not going to add a money factor markup. Now, we're not going to add any incentives at this point. Same $650 acquisition fee. And we have 10.25%. I'm going to add a $500 dealer fee, and then I'm going to add tax title registration. I'm just going to add $1,000. It's probably less than that, but I want to be conservative. Now we're going to see with a sign and drive, you're looking at a final monthly payment of $564 a month. Now, if you wanted to put money down, all you do is click on custom. And let's say I wanted to put, $1,500 down to cover tax title registration and the dealer fee. So let's just do $1,500, do at signing, and this is your total out of pocket. You'll see that the final monthly payment, including sales tax, is $517 a month. Now, the cool thing here is that we can play with the discount and play with the rebates. Now, if you do qualify for, let's say, a recent college graduate discount or military discount, or you have Toyota lease loyalty, you can just check if you qualify by reading the fine print here. And let's say I qualify. I just check this box, and boom, the $1,000 rebate has been added to my monthly payment. Now, the cool thing is, when you shop for cars, dealers don't always tell you all of the incentives or rebates that are available, but you can find them here on Drive Match. Now, on top of that, what you can do is play with a discount. Let's see if you wanted to get aggressive and say, hey, what happens if a dealer actually gives me like an 8% discount? So if I get an 8% discount, keep an eye on this monthly payment, it goes from $486. If I enter 8, it goes to $442. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see how powerful this tool is. But perhaps the coolest thing about this tool is that you can actually compare lease to finance. Now, let's see if I wanted to finance the same car. Let me just copy this VIN number. I think it should carry over. Yes, it did carry over. We have the same discount, same MSRP. It's the same truck. Let's get the finance programs from Toyota. So let's get the special APR rates. We'll do a 72-month term. It automatically pulls it. It's 4.99%. And let's say we got the same loyalty, $1,000 loyalty program. We'll do the same dealer fee, same tax title registration, and we'll use the same tax rate. And now what you're going to see is we can click on lease versus finance. And you'll see that if I lease this car, oh, actually, one second. Let me fix this due at signing amount. Or actually, let me just enter a down payment to match the lease. And all right, so now what we're going to see is if I were to lease this car, my monthly payment is $442 a month with $1,500 down. And if I were to finance this truck, it's $712 with the same $1,500 down. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, with leasing, you can always buy the car or the truck at the end of the lease term if you choose to do so, or if you have positive equity. But the main purpose here is that if you look at a total cost of ownership over 36 months, you're saving a substantial amount of money going with the lease versus going with the finance. And that's why, in my opinion, leasing the Toyota Tacoma makes a lot of financial sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that was a long one, but the Drive Match calculator is quite robust. And to be honest with you, I'm still kind of wrapping my hands around it. I'm trying to become a pro user so I can make some incredible content for you guys and really showcase the value that this drive match calculator actually provides to us and to you guys as consumers. Because as you saw, when you're shopping for any car, you can plug in the information on the drive match calculator and you can see what a certain discount would do to the monthly payment, what certain rebates would do to the monthly payment. It automatically pulls the money factors, it automatically pulls the interest rates, whether you're leasing or financing. So it's a really, really powerful tool, and I'm really excited to showcase it in videos to come. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. If you guys have any questions about drive match, about leasing in general, or about this Toyota Tacoma lease deal, let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't checked out drivematch.com, you can get pre-negotiated lease deals on some pretty incredible vehicles. And we have all of the deals on drive match have been pre-negotiated. And if they're not good lease deals, we don't even put them on the website. So with that, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.